The evening sky painted the city in shades of amber and rose as the luxury restaurant came alive with the hum of quiet conversations and soft piano music. At a corner table near the window sat Ethan Hale, a man who had everything money could buy, except what he secretly craved most: peace and companionship. As the CEO of Hale Industries, Ethan's name was synonymous with success, but success came with solitude. His days were filled with meetings, mergers, and media flashes. His nights, however, were filled with silence, an empty penthouse overlooking a city that never stopped moving. He sighed, glancing at his watch. 7 o'clock sharp. His sister had arranged this blind date, insisting he needed to live a little. He didn't expect anything. Most of his dates ended with forced smiles and hollow compliments. Then the restaurant door opened, and she walked in. Maya Torres. She hesitated at the entrance, clutching a small purse, scanning the room until her gaze met his. There was no designer gown or sparkling jewelry, just a modest floral dress and an aura of warmth that made the entire room feel different. "Ethan?" she asked, her voice soft, uncertain. He stood up quickly, offering a polite smile. "Yes, you must be Maya. Please, sit." She smiled shyly and took the seat across from him. Her hands fidgeted slightly, revealing her nerves. "I'm sorry if I'm late. The traffic was terrible," she said. "You're right on time," he assured her. "Would you like some wine?" "Just water, please," she replied. Their conversation began cautiously, like two strangers walking on thin ice. She told him she worked as a junior designer for a small company, nothing glamorous, but she loved it. She talked about colors, creativity, and how she dreamed of one day opening her own boutique. Ethan listened intently. He was used to conversations revolving around money, status, and ambition. But Maya spoke with passion, not pretense. She laughed easily, her eyes lighting up when she described painting on weekends or reading bedtime stories. "You seem happy," Ethan said with quiet curiosity. Maya smiled. "Happiness isn't about having everything. It's about loving what you have." That simple answer disarmed him completely. As the evening went on, the conversation flowed more naturally. Ethan found himself relaxing, even laughing, a sound he hadn't heard from himself in months. He told her about his travels, about his late mother's garden he still visited when life felt too heavy. Maya's eyes softened. "You must have loved her a lot." "I did," he said quietly. "She always told me that no matter how successful I became, I should never forget what it means to be human." Maya nodded slowly, her gaze meeting his. She must have been a wise woman. For a fleeting moment, Ethan thought this blind date might not be a mistake after all. Then, her phone buzzed. Once, twice, then again. Her smile faded. "I'm so sorry. I need to take this," she murmured, standing and walking a few steps away. Ethan tried not to listen, but her tone was anxious, protective. "Is she okay? Give her the medicine, and I'll be right there," Maya whispered urgently before ending the call. She returned to the table, her face pale. "Ethan, I'm really sorry. I have to go. My friend who's watching my niece isn't feeling well. I can't stay." She grabbed her bag, her movements hurried. "Of course," he said, rising to his feet, though disappointment settled in his chest. "I hope everything's all right." "Yes, thank you." She gave him a quick, apologetic smile before rushing out into the cool night. Ethan sat back down, staring at her half-empty glass of water. Something about her words, about the way she said, "my niece," didn't sound right. There had been hesitation. Then he saw it. On the table, she'd accidentally left behind a small, folded drawing, crayon lines of a stick figure woman holding hands with a tiny child. At the bottom, written in a child's scrawl, "Mommy and me." Ethan's breath caught. The next morning, Ethan Hale arrived at his office earlier than usual, but his mind wasn't on business. The city skyline stretched endlessly before his window, but his thoughts were caught in a single moment. Maya's sudden exit, her voice trembling, the child's drawing she left behind. He turned the folded paper over again and again between his fingers. The crayon lines were smudged, the hearts uneven, but something about it tugged at him in a way nothing else had in years. He could have dismissed it. He could have told himself it was just another date gone wrong. But he didn't. By noon, he was restless. His assistant, Julia noticed. Rough morning, sir. Ethan forced a faint smile. You could say that. He didn't tell her that the face he couldn't stop thinking about wasn't a business partner. It was a woman who had turned his world upside down in a single evening. That afternoon, on his way back from a meeting, his car stopped at a red light near a small park. He glanced out the window, and froze. On a park bench sat Maya. Her hair was pulled back, her face tired but serene. A little girl, no more than 5, curled up in her lap, sleeping soundly. Before he could second-guess himself, he asked his driver to stop. He walked toward them slowly, quietly, almost afraid to disturb the peaceful picture before him. Maya, he said softly. Her head jerked up, surprise flashing across her face. Ethan, what are you doing here? I could ask you the same, he replied with a gentle smile, sitting down beside her. Maya looked away, clearly embarrassed. I didn't expect to see you again. I wasn't sure I'd see you again either, he said. But I think you left something behind. He reached into his jacket pocket and pulled out the folded drawing. Her breath hitched when she saw it. Oh no, Lily must have slipped that in my purse, she murmured, brushing a hand over her daughter's hair. I'm sorry you found out like this. Ethan studied her quietly. You don't need to apologize, Maya. You're a mother. That's nothing to hide. Her eyes softened with guilt. I should have told you last night. I was just scared. Scared of what? He asked. Scared you'd look at me differently, she whispered. Most men do when they find out I'm divorced, with a child. They stop seeing me and start seeing complications. He leaned back, watching the way she held her daughter close, as if shielding her from judgment. Maya, he said gently, you should never apologize for loving someone enough to fight for them. That's not a complication, it's strength. Her eyes shimmered, her voice barely audible. You don't mean that, he smiled softly. Try me. They sat in silence for a moment, the sound of the city fading into the soft rustle of leaves. The little girl stirred, blinking up at them with big brown eyes. Mama, she mumbled sleepily. Maya brushed a hand through her daughter's hair. It's okay, baby. Go back to sleep. Ethan's chest tightened at the tenderness in her tone. She's beautiful, he said quietly. Like her mother. Maya's cheeks flushed pink. Her name's Lily. Hi, Lily, Ethan said softly, though the little girl had already drifted back to sleep. Something shifted then. Something fragile and real. Ethan, the man who had built walls around his heart, found them slowly crumbling in the presence of this woman and her child. After a long pause, he said, Why didn't you tell me, Maya? Her eyes filled with unshed tears. Because I didn't want to lose something good before it even started. Ethan reached out, brushing a tear that had escaped down her cheek. His voice dropped to a whisper. You haven't lost me. Her breath caught. For the first time in years, she didn't feel like she had to hide. He looked down at the sleeping child again, then back at Maya. Maybe last night wasn't just a blind date. Maybe it was fate giving us a second chance. Maya's lips trembled into a soft smile. You really believe that? Ethan smiled back, warm and sure. I do. And I don't believe in coincidences. The golden light of sunset wrapped around them, gentle and forgiving. Maya leaned her head slightly against his shoulder, and for once, neither of them said anything more. The silence wasn't empty anymore. It was full of hope, of healing, of something new that neither of them dared name yet. And as the last rays of light faded, Ethan whispered again, his voice steady this time. Let's start over, Maya. You, me, and Lily. She wasn't talking about a niece. She was a mother. And as he sat there, the city lights reflecting off the glass, he realized that for the first time in years, he didn't feel lonely anymore. He felt curious. About her. About the life she was hiding behind that shy smile.